city, what state you're coming in from. If you're outside of the U.S., let me know what country you're representing. Throw up your flag. Family, I need you to smash up the likes, smash up the likes, smash up the likes. Also, if you have not done so already on YouTube after you subscribe, there's a little bell next to your subscribe button. Go ahead and click that thing right now so you can get your notifications each time I drop a new video like this. That way you'll be in the loop. I'm gonna let a few hundred of y'all come in, then I'm going in, but in the meantime, in between time, I'm going to give some shots out to the early birds, starting with dun, dun, dun. Jimmy, what's up? I see you. I see Nicole. I see Nicholas. I see Sonia, DeAndre, Shannon, Bar Heavy, High Viz, Rod Robinson. Is that Bada? Cassandra, B Diamonds, Godzilla, DC for life. DC for life. Grizzly Fish. What's up? April Harden. I see you. Nicole Reloaded. Wax Wheeze. DJ Mafia. Earl Love. Magma Raymaker. Ruth Bin Laden's Chopper. Where you been, Bin Laden's Chopper? Man, I ain't seen you in a while on the platform. You been over that moonlight, man, going over to these other people's platforms, checking them out, man. You ain't been over here, man. I feel offended, man. I feel neglected. Glad you're back. We're gonna take the high road, man. We're gonna take the high road. Glad you're back. Mona Jones, what's up? Bookie Miles, DJ Jazz, what's up, Tracy, Marlon Reed, KG, Malik Wright, Just the Guy, Kevin Green, Gary N.U. Hayton, DJ Mafia, let's see, who we got here? Joe Brown, Jay Gatsby, Dominic TV, Just the Guy, what's up, Omaha, Stash, Wild Bill Shadow, what's up? Jasmine Taylor, going in, fam, going in. Well, prosecutors in the Diddy case are not too happy with Diddy these days. Man, these prosecutors, they are really trying to make sure they stick it to Diddy. No Diddy. I mean, they really, I get it, fam. Diddy's a bad guy. Get it. He's a bad guy. But these charges, you know what? Let me just get into the charges. Let's get into the charges. Let's first and foremost, let's get into the Diddy case. Let's get into the Diddy case. So you have, hold on, what happened? Okay, there it is. Like, man, the devil is busy today. So federal prosecutors are calling BS on Diddy's attempt to throw out his conviction on the Mann Act charges in his criminal case. Prosecutors from the Southern District of New York filed new legal documents Wednesday, torching Diddy's motion to get his conviction on 2 counts of the Mann Act overturned, or if not, getting a new trial. As you know, the Mann Act prohibits the transportation of individuals across state lines for the purpose of prostitution. Diddy's lawyers previously pointed out he made $0 off of prostitution and insists the Mann Act is usually designed for going after people running sex rings. They also say Diddy never had sex with the male sex workers and never directly arranged for their transportation, claiming he was merely a voyeur who enjoyed recording his girlfriend having sex with other men. But in their filings, the feds bust back saying there was plenty of evidence to support the jury's Mann Act convictions, arguing Diddy was the mastermind of every aspect of his infamous freak-offs. They also attacked the notion Diddy just liked to watch, saying he fully participated by directing the sexual conduct between escorts and victims and masturbating throughout the sexual episodes. Not only that, but the feds say Diddy's argument that he was more like a porn producer, produced under is protected under the First Amendment, and it doesn't hold water because many of the freak-offs were not recorded, and for the ones that were, Diddy often didn't give advance notice he'd be filming. And many of the participants didn't consent to the recordings. The government insists all of that made the freak-offs a far cry from legal porn. I don't think Diddy's lawyers thought the legal porn thing all the way through. Because, see, the thing is, like in life, whether you be a lawyer or an advice columnist, you want to take the wiggle room out of things. Like when you make, even on here, when I'm making certain statements or whatever, I have to take the wiggle room out for the detractors and the haters, because they coming not to enjoy the channel. They coming to look down and try to find something negative. You know how you got certain people who might go to a restaurant and they looking for something, just looking to see if there's a piece of paper on the floor, or they checking everything, they over checking. You know what I mean? You got people like that, right? So this porn thing, I don't think they thought this all the way through. I can get it how he can loosely say he was this like more like a porn director or whatever, but maybe he should have said something more along the lines of porn enthusiast or something. Like this was a hobby of his. This was just a hobby, perhaps something like that. You know what? I'm not gonna say anything else because they might try to use my argument in court. They may try to use what I'm saying, and I'm not getting paid for this information. So I got to get paid for my information. So I'm not gonna say anything else about what they should have been doing. Because, I can go in there and, I can make the argument and boom, Diddy going home today. Diddy going home today. Diddy going home today. Diddy going home today. You know what I'm saying? Like if I was there, man, hold up. I want you to understand, this is what I would have told the jury. I want you to understand something. If you convict my client of these charges, you may as well convict yourself. Everybody in this courtroom, everybody outside of this courtroom, and I'm not talking about just in the immediate proximity, I'm talking about worldwide, every single person who has ever hopped on a plane or got inside of a car or hopped on a train or walked to across the state line for a date, a vacation, a meet. First time you meet somebody. How many times have the women that's listening right now, how many times y'all been flued out? And you knew you being flown out sometimes, and I'm not even talking about by a guy you don't really know. I'm talking about your own guy. Because keep in mind, they convicted Diddy of engaging in prostitution with women that he knew. So the way that they're saying that the law is stated, they're saying that if you go to if you cross the state lines with a person or you go to meet a person, there is a thing that they have called intention that y'all gonna have, that this person intends to have sex. Somebody intends to have sex. The thing about intention is you don't know if somebody intends to really have sex for sure unless you can read their minds. Or maybe they have to tell you, but how do you know? How do you know? How does the prosecution know that this is what was intended? So anybody can end up in jail on this Mann Act. The way that they got it the law is written so ambiguous. It's so written so ambiguously, you don't know. You don't. It's a lot of gray area, so it's left up to interpretation. I don't know if they're gonna throw these cases out. We know that they're weak, and they shouldn't have been. He shouldn't have been convicted of that. He should have been convicted of domestic violence. You know, he should have been. He should have been tried and convicted for domestic violence. But this other stuff, nah, fam. None of this stuff makes sense. None of this stuff should stick. And I think eventually it will get off his record. I don't know if it'll get off his record now, because apparently there's people in high places who have the authority to keep him in jail, who has the authority to waive off $50 million for a bond package, you know, who has the authority to trump up charges. And I think that they intend, as long as they're in power, as long as they have the authority, to keep the pressure on him, to make him pay some price. Those are my thoughts. Let's go into the comments and see what y'all saying. Judith Grace, what up? China Doll. China Doll, what you said? You look like you got your comment deleted. Black Diamond, Judge Dreads, what's up? Who is that? Patricia Arnold. So is Cassie going to be charged because she herself set up the arrangements to have sex? She said it out of her own mouth. Great point. Let's talk about that right quick. Let's talk about Cassie's involvement. Cassie absolutely should have been on trial with Diddy. They should have been on trial at the same time, because Cassie rode shotgun as Diddy drove the car. That's right. And sometimes Diddy got in the passenger seat and rode shotgun, and Cassie drove the getaway car. Cassie should be in jail too. If Diddy's in jail, Cassie should be in jail. Now, I know some of y'all don't like that because she cute, right? She cute, and she ain't really black. That's right, I said. I know a lot of y'all just like her because she not black. I'm talking about these non-black people specifically. A lot of them riding for Cassie because she's not black and Diddy is a black man. That's right. I know you. You can't fool me. I know why you think the way you think. I know why you think the way you think. You can't stand a black man, especially a black successful man. That's number one. And you don't like black women either. If Cassie was black, you wouldn't be riding for her as hard as you're riding for her. The only people who would be riding for her is black women and black men. That's it. Nobody else would be riding for her. But because Cassie is mixed, a lot of y'all riding for her. I'm talking about the non-blacks. I know you. I know how you think. I study you. I know how you think. That's right. I know you don't like what I'm saying, but hey, man, let me know when I'm lying. Let me know when I'm lying. Yeah, let me know when I'm lying. Cassie should have been in jail too. She should have been arrested too. People should not be able to get immunity when they commit the same crimes that they're on a stand pointing fingers at a person who they accuse of committing same crimes. No, absolutely not. If we're going to continue down this road, what is the incentive for anybody to not join a so-called criminal enterprise and participate in criminal activity? See, because as long as you're not the top guy, as long as you're not at the top of the pyramid, you get to go home. All you got to do is rat the big guy out. And the big guy take the fall all by himself. That ain't cool, fam. That's not cool. One could argue that if the big guy at the top does not have a team helping him to commit his crimes, to cover up his crimes, to mitigate his crimes, perhaps the crime would have never been committed at all. So there should never be full immunity for people who get on a stand and point people out who may have committed crimes. There should never be people who had involvement in crimes. There should never be full immunity for someone who had an involvement in a crime. And they get on the stand and they point out others who were involved. There should never be full immunity. Never. But, you know, this kind of country we live in, depending on who you are, you know, hey, this guy over here, he commits SA, he goes home. This guy over here commits SA, he goes to jail for 20 years. Make it make sense. This woman leaves her newborn baby in a trash can. This woman does the same thing, but this woman goes home because she's very, very sorry that she did it, and she's crying, and she's of a particular hue. This woman, she shouldn't have done that. It was reckless behavior, and although she says she's sorry, I don't believe her. 15 years in prison. That's the law. That's how they do it. The judges have too much latitude. Judges have too much latitude. You know, a jury of your peers can convict you of a crime. A so-called jury of your peers can convict you of a crime. And they can say 10 years. The judge can decide to go totally against that and say, you know what? I'm going to suspend that sentence. I'm going to suspend the 10-year sentence and give you time served. You can go home. Have a good day. Now, you know, all of us have implicit biases, and judges are no different. Every human being on this planet have implicit biases. The difference between a judge having implicit bias, and you or I is the judge has the power to affect people's lives with the decisions that they make on a day-to-day basis. They can affect people's lives. They can destroy people's lives. They can put a person away for 100 years if they feel like. It's all about how they feel. It's how they feel. Because you can hear all of the so-called evidence, and the evidence might stack up, and it might sound very convincing. The judge can decide, I don't care nothing about all of this evidence that y'all presented. I'm totally going to ignore this, and I'm going to pass on this judgment instead. Damn the prosecution's recommendation. I'm going with my own. Go totally against the grain. And the judge can be totally wrong, but there is no consequences to the judge's actions. Yeah, you know, somebody can go to the, what they call it, the bar. They can go to the bar and say, hey, you know, this judge needs to be reprimanded and da-da-da. And, you know, but how often does something like that really happen? Not often at all. They're definitely not gonna take the judge's license. So this stuff happens all the time, fam. They got too much latitude. I see Miss Jazzy is in the building. What's up, Marlon Reed? Judge Dreads. Letitia Taylor. What's up, Letitia? Bashonda. What is that? 4 TLAZ. Fort Lass Atlas James. Nightfall drop. It's like this, I wish raindrops would fall. Oh, man. D-Day, what up? Shamika Denise. What's up, Delaware? What it do? Delaware. Damn, have I ever been to Delaware? Delaware. I'm sure I've been to Delaware at least once. If you're just not joining, fam, we're talking about the case of one Sean Diddy Combs and his latest attempt to have his Mann Act conviction reversed. Prosecutors right now are saying, hell no. You can forget about that, buddy. We ain't letting that go. Prosecution is calling BS on Diddy's attempt to throw out that conviction on Mann Act charges in his criminal case. Prosecutors from the Southern District of New York filed new legal documents Wednesday torching Diddy's motion to get his conviction on 2 counts of the Mann Act overturned, or if not, getting a new trial. As you know, the Mann Act prohibits the transportation of individuals across state lines for the purpose of prostitution. Diddy's lawyers previously pointed out he made $0 off prostitution and insist The Mann Act is usually designed for going after people running sex rings. Diddy said he didn't run any sex ring. He ran rings around the sex. They didn't say that last part, but they should have. They also say that Diddy never had sex with the male sex workers and never directly arranged for their transportation, claiming he was merely a voyeur who enjoyed recording his girlfriend having sex. But in their filings, federal prosecutors say there was plenty of evidence to support the jury's Mann Act convictions, arguing Diddy was the mastermind of every aspect of the infamous Freakoffs. They also attacked the notion Diddy just liked to watch, saying he fully participated by directing the sexual conduct between escorts and victims and masturbating throughout the sexual episodes while watching cartoons. No, he wasn't watching. They didn't say the last part, but damn, that would have been funny as hell. You said, while watching cartoons. Hey fam, some of those cartoons today got some wild stuff on it. They be doing all kinds of stuff in those cartoons. So not only that, but the feds say Diddy's argument that he was more like a porn producer protected under the First Amendment doesn't hold water because many of the Freakoffs were not recorded. And for the ones that were, Diddy often didn't give advance notice he'd be filming, and many of the participants didn't consent to the recordings. The government insists all of that made the Freakoffs a far cry from legal porn shoots. I say this again, fam. Sometimes the prosecution just be doing too much. I mean, sometimes, the prosecution do too much, but sometimes the defense be doing too much too. Like, trying to come off like a porn producer, saying he was just like a porn producer protected by the First Amendment is crazy. But I see what they're doing. The defense is throwing everything up against the wall and just trying to see what sticks. Every time something sticks, that's a W for them. You can throw up all this stuff. Just keep throwing stuff. It don't cost you nothing but a few dollars and some time. It costs money and time. That's it. To write the motions. That's it. So, go in and you don't even have to sit up in the courtroom to judge. When the judge comes to a decision, then he'll let you know. Sometimes you get a phone call on the judge's decision, so you don't have to even be in the courtroom. So you just keep throwing everything you can up against the wall and just see what sticks. So I'm picking up what they're putting down. Because what'll happen is, all you got to do is get one thing to really stick, one or two things to really stick, and you're good to go. You're good to go. Science dropper, the God. China Carter is in the building. What's up, China? China done made her way up in this bad boy. Tim Lane. What's up, Tim? Marcus Harbor. Gregory Rogers. What's up, Gregory? Smoketown DJ says the system is trash. Tell me about it. Family, can you imagine before the internet, before social media, how hard it was to get these cases exposure? Yeah, you know, even before the internet case for something like what Diddy is going through, Diddy can fight it, he got a bunch of money. But imagine how much injustice has been exposed since the advent of social media and the internet. Imagine how, like, there was things happening all over this country, and something is happening right now in a small country, in a small town in this country, where these people would have been able to commit crimes and get away with injustice, and nobody would never know, because the people that lived in those towns didn't have resources, they didn't have money to get the word out. They couldn't, the local news stations wouldn't cover the story. And the story wasn't national enough for a wider station, you know, the bigger news outlets. So people would have to just suffer in silence. People would just rot in jail for decades. There's still some people rotting in jail. But with the advent of social media, even, you know, it's been a blessing and curse, right? But look at all of the technology that has helped free people. Like, that technology has helped free a lot of people. Oh, you say you was here? Yeah, I was here. How y'all gonna convict me of the crime? I was here. Now, you can go straight to a person's social media and see where they logged in. You know, like, social media, the digital footprint has saved a lot of people. At the same time, it has convicted a lot of people. And that's a good thing. If you're dirty, you're dirty. You get what you get. But for all of those innocent people that constantly get railroaded, think about how many videos have we seen where the police planting dope on people, planting drugs on people, where the police busting in folks' houses and lie about the incident. They lie about what happened. How many times have they just murdered people and lie? And now sometimes we get to see the body cam, or sometimes we get to see video from a bystander, and we can see exactly what happened. Imagine where Derek Chauvin would be right now if it was not for video evidence. Derek Chauvin would still be out on the streets, I would dare say, killing. Yeah. So this video, this social media, it's a blessing and a curse. Sometimes it's the worst. Is that West Lima? West Lima. Mabels, what's up? Let's see, Carlos Jones, when we got locked down, should have been a perfect time to prepare. Emergency plan. Vicky, what up, Vic? Miss Slaughter. Vicky. Vicky last name is Slaughter. Vicky Slaughter. Vicky, you can't never, ever, ever get accused of killing your husband. You cannot be accused of killing your husband. You can't be accused of killing anybody. Vicky Slaughter. I'm the prosecution right now. Vicky Slaughter. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the defendant right here, Vicky Slaughter. I'm going to bring evidence to prove that the defendant, Vicky Slaughter, was true to her name and slaughtered her husband, an innocent man. When he gave her her name, when he gave her his name, he did not intend on her to take it personally. She slaughtered, Vicky Slaughter slaughtered her husband. For that, Vicky Slaughter should be slaughtered. Yeah, Vicky, yeah, you better stay away from that courtroom. You can, even if somebody is about to try to take your life, you can't kill them. You got to let them make it because they gonna you get convicted. They are going to convict you. Vicky Slaughter. It's like a rapper having, it's like Killer Mike name. Like Killer Mike cannot go to jail for killing somebody. Killer Mike cannot go to jail for killing somebody. They're gonna be like, see, when you get somebody like that in your courtroom, you can be arrogant. You can go in there like, all right, let's get this show on the road. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I am the prosecution. I'm representing the state. I'm the prosecutor representing the state. I'm the lead prosecutor on this case. I'm representing the state. And we got a killer in the building. We got a killer in the building. Objection, Your Honor. Sustained. Okay, we have a killer Mike. Is that appropriate? We have a killer Mike in the courtroom. His name says it all, ladies. Objection, objection. Overruled. Killer Mike is charged with killing a man named Mike. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you cannot make this up. Sounds like somebody was having romantic thoughts with his namesake. That's right, I said it. Yeah, Killer Mike, that's my dog. That's my dog, man. Killer, you cannot ever, ever, ever go to jail for killing somebody. They gonna try to hide you, bro. Oh, man. No, shouts out to Killer Mike too, man. Killer Mike is like necessary. Killer Mike is necessary. Yeah, man. Killer Mike is necessary. James Brown just hit him with something. Why in real life the pimp and the prostitute get locked up, but when it comes to Diddy, he's the only participant to be locked up? I don't understand the system. Can somebody explain to me? Well, he was the only one who had $1 billion. And it's just appalling to me, fam, how big of a pass Cassie has gotten through all of this. Cassie was a victim of domestic violence. She was a domestic violence victim. She was not a sexual violence victim. She was not. Take the cutie out of your head. Get the cute out of your head and just focus on the facts. And keep in mind too, fam, Cassie ain't some little fragile, innocent woman. She's not some fragile, innocent damsel in distress. Cassie was in the court documents showed Cassie was communicating with a dude who claimed to have video of her having sex with escorts, and Cassie threatened to take his life. Cassie said, "I have you cut up. I won't do it myself, but it can get done." Yeah, I remember that. Why ain't nobody talking about that? Because I know if Diddy was on tape, or Diddy was on a thread, a text thread talking like that, I know people would still be bringing it up. They would bring it up every single day. So why isn't this being talked about? Cassie threatened to kill. And they got evidence. And she in court said, "Yep, that's me. I said it." And it was like they turned the page. All right, next. Oh, no, fam. See, trying to protect Cassie sounds good. Trying to protect somebody like Cassie sounds good until it happens to one of your relatives and you have a black widow take out one of your relatives. The rest of the world see her as this nice, sweet, innocent chick. But you know the truth. You know her. You know it's all a facade. Now you want some justice. See, we got to get past this looks thing. We got to get past that, oh, she cute, oh, she pretty, this, that. We got to get past the looks. And let's stick to the facts. And when I say past the looks, I mean all the way across the board. Attractiveness, color, gender, money, everything. We got to get past the looks. How somebody dressed, get past all of that, and let's stick to the facts. But that's too much like right. Nobody expects that to happen in the U.S. Hey, okay, love. What's up? Keita B. Gregory Rogers. A cult? What is it? What I missed here? Sinalicious, where you at? A cult lecturer. See, I'm going to tell you something, fam. This is my theory. This is my theory in regards to Cassie and Diddy. I think Diddy was hooked on Cassie. I don't think Diddy ever loved Cassie. I think that Diddy was in love with what Cassie looked like, what she looked like. I don't think he ever loved her. Because I just can't see treating somebody like that, dogging somebody like that, beating on somebody like that I love. See, human beings oftentimes, we don't hurt the people we love. We hurt the people we should love. I don't believe Diddy loved Cassie. And I'll take it a step further. I don't believe Cassie ever loved Diddy either. I think Cassie was an opportunist. I think Cassie saw Diddy as a lick. And at some point she grew to have feelings for him because, you'll have feelings for anybody you spend quality time with. But I don't think she ever loved him. I don't think he ever loved her. I think both of them gave what they had. Diddy gave Cassie money, access, and options. Cassie gave Diddy an arm piece, a trophy to walk in public with, and she gave him sex. She helped him to fulfill fantasies, and that was it. And I think that when Diddy beat on Cassie, he beat her because she was defiant at times. And in his mind, I'm doing all of this for you, and woo, woo, woo. And you're going to treat me like this, or you're going to do this, you're not going to act like I want you to act. Here, take this punch, take that, take that, take that. I do believe that he beat Cassie, because, Diddy do have a hang up with his sexuality. Even if he didn't go up in the men or let the men go up in him, the fact that he sat there and watched them dudes, that was a fantasy of his to watch these dudes do all of these things. And if we are to believe what Cassie said is true, he instructed her to go and fetch these dudes fluids, bodily fluids, and rub them on his chest. Yeah, that's something. It's something wrong with her. It's something wrong right there. And I think that sometimes when these dudes are conflicted about their sexuality, they take it out on the women that they're with, because they really don't like the women like that. But they understand that that's part of the starter kit. That's part of the package. Having a woman, especially a beautiful woman, to cover for you. And I think that a lot of times these dudes, when they go in both ways, they're resentful of the fact that they have to be with this woman. And in their minds, this woman should be everything to them and happy, and she should never cause them any type of stress because they already going through it because they can't live their life all the way out the way they really want to live it anyway. Just my thoughts. Because I don't subscribe to putting hands on women. If I put my hands on a woman, it is going to be to caress her. It is going to be to encourage her. It's going to be to comfort her. I am who I say I am. I don't believe in all of that. And I do believe also, like I said in Cleanup Man, if you got a beater, you don't need her. If a woman can make you so enraged that you're compelled to hit her, you don't need to be there. You need to get up and go. Because all you're going to do is end up putting yourself in a bind. She hurt you, now you're going to hurt yourself by trying to hurt her. You're trying to retaliate. Or maybe you start drinking and smoking and all. Either way, you're going to hurt yourself even more. The best thing, the way to improve your situation if you get hurt, the way to heal is to get up out of there. Keep it moving. Because what's for you going to be for you. And obviously, that ain't what God wants you to have. That ain't what you're supposed to have. you're going to be with anybody, let me tell you something, fam, in life, and this is across the board. In life, if you're not helping, you're hurting. If you're not helping, you're hurting. Think about every discipline in your life. Think about it. Think about, let's say for all of you people out there that go to church. I'm not one of them, but for y'all that go to church. Look around the church and think about the people who help. Think about all the people in the church and now start thinking, who actually helps this church thrive? Who helps? Who's hurting? Sometimes the pastor is the one that's hurting the church. If you're not helping the church grow, you're hurting the church from growing, right? In your own household, think about it. Look around in your own household and think to yourself, who helps this household thrives? Who's helping? Who's helping my life to be a little bit easier, just a little easier? It ain't got to be a whole lot, just a little. Who's just making it just easier? Just easier. Because ease doesn't have to be, an entire new way of life. It just has to be easier. Just make it easier. Who's doing that in your house? If you got people in your house that's not doing that, they're hurting. They're hurting. If you're not helping, you're hurting. When you look at society at large, who's helping and who's hurting? Who's helping and who's hurting? If you're not helping, you're hurting. Even if you're not doing anything, you're hurting. Because some people got that attitude that, well, man, I ain't messing with nobody. I don't want nobody to mess with me. I ain't doing nothing. I ain't doing nothing. Don't ask me for nothing. Woo. Are you helping your community? Are you an asset to your community? Or are you a liability? See, before I even started getting money, fam, now I ain't gonna lie. I have been a liability at times. I won't lie about that. But I think the reason why I've been shown favor over the years and I'm still thriving, I'm still getting it, is because I always had a good heart. And my problem was revenge a lot of times. I just did not know how to, I didn't know how to really navigate that, right? And I'm not saying I'm not still vengeful now, you know what I'm saying? But it ain't what you do, is how you do it. But anyway, I helped a lot of people along the way before I even started getting to the money. A lot of people. Starting with just, and I'm talking about before I had money. A lot of people just in school, I would help a lot of classmates from getting bullied. One of my best friends to this day, the day that we met, the first day we met, he wanted to hang out with me and my crew. We had a small circle, but we was tight, and nobody messed with us. So he wanted to be down with us, and I was like, well, why you want to be down with us? Down. And he was like, well, Hilton West was anybody that's listening that went to Forest Brook in Houston know. Hilton West was a star football player. He was a linebacker, and he was a big, bad brother, right? And he was a bully, but he was a jolly type of bully. You got to kind of know people to know how they operate. But he was never a threat to us, and he never tried us, because we didn't really go around messing with people, but if somebody messed with us, we would go all the way in. So dude wanted to be with us, and he was like, yeah, man, I feel like it, Hilton West be whooping everybody's ass. So I feel like if y'all the only ones that he don't mess with, so if I join y'all, he won't mess with me. The boy was smart. He was only in the 10th grade when he said that. Well, it worked. It worked. But I helped a whole lot of people throughout the years, especially like getting bullies off of them. You know, yeah, I throughout the years, I'm like, man, he did what? Okay, let me show you how to go over there and confront him. And usually the bullies would just go head on and back down. But every now and then, I had to ding fries and shake. You know, some of them didn't believe that fat meat was greasy. So you had to show them in the hard way. But just over the years, so many people I've helped so many people. Even just yesterday, somebody was saying that one of my family friends was saying how I helped one of her family members that's not related to me. And I was like, I don't even remember. And see, she started going back, you know, like she started like telling me what happened and how this happened and what I said. And I said, yeah, it sounded like something I would have done, but I don't remember. You know, because I'm hardwired, you know, to give, you know, advice. You know, I'm hardwired to try to give sage advice, not just give advice, but sage advice. Hardwired to help where I can. Now, I ain't no pushover. I ain't no sucker. You know, I'm not the Red Cross around here, but I do my fair share of looking out. Spencer Clark, what up? Laura Thomas, what it do? Roslyn Ross, the boss. What's up, Roz? Truth Seeker 59. Go higher, raise vibrations and expectations. Chose the cream of the crop and not the pretty trash on the ground floor with no sense. Jermaine Ellerson, what's up? What's up? Gemini say, what did Diddy do? If you're just not joining, fam, I'm gonna recap this for y'all. Let me put a bow on top of this bad boy. So the federal prosecutors are calling BS on Diddy's attempt to throw out his conviction on Mann Act charges in his criminal case. Prosecutors from the Southern District of New York filed new legal documents Wednesday torching Diddy's motion to get his conviction on 2 counts of the Mann Act overturned, or if not, getting a new trial. As you know, the Mann Act prohibits the transportation of individuals across state lines for the purpose of prostitution. Diddy's lawyers previously pointed out that he made $0 off prostitution and insists the Mann Act is usually designed for going after people running sex rings. They also say Diddy never had sex with male workers and never directly arranged for their transportation, claiming he was merely a voyeur who enjoyed recording his girlfriends having sex. But in their filings, federal prosecutors say there was plenty of evidence to support that the jury's Mann Act convictions, arguing Diddy was the mastermind of every aspect of his infamous freak-offs. They also attacked the notion Diddy just liked to watch, saying he fully participated by directing the sexual conduct between the escorts and victims and masturbating throughout the sexual episodes. Yeah, they said he was masturbating. The dudes was like another. He had a bottle dude. He had a what do you call it? Oil. Yeah, he had a baby oil dude. All the dude did was just bring the baby oil, and when Diddy needed a reload, he just tossed him a bottle, and he just. Yeah, don't believe that. Anyway, fam. Not only that, but the feds say Diddy's argument that he was more like a porn producer protected under the First Amendment doesn't hold water because many of the freak-offs were not recorded. And for the ones that were, Diddy often didn't give advance notice he'd be filming, and many of the participants didn't consent to the recordings. The government insists all of that made the freak-offs a far cry from legal porn shoots. This is one of those situations where one might go to the top of a mountain and say, let my people go. We all know, fam, that Diddy is being dragged because he's a black man. We already know that. He's a rich black man. That's why they doing him like this. This is a humiliation ritual. That's all it is. The case, man, the case is weaker than Alizé in water. You dig? It's a weak, really, really weak case. But hey, you know, it's America, and they can do that. I personally believe that the case would eventually be 100% dissolved. I think it'll be dissolved completely, but it may take some time. It may take some time, especially if Trump don't grant the pardon, which I'm sure he will, and that'll wipe everything out. But the fact that he had to go through this and sit in jail, see, some people don't see a problem with that. But you gotta imagine, fam, that if they can railroad somebody like Diddy that got the kind of money that he got. Now, listen, fam. Well, let me finish my statement. If they can railroad somebody like Diddy who got the kind of money he got, they can definitely do it to you or I, you or me. But the thing is that this type of thing can happen to anybody. And the trip part is, oftentimes, we don't put a lot of stock in it until it hit home. If you don't know somebody who's been railroaded by the legal system, keep waking up. That's my time, fam. Enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. No more talk.